This new Warlock Boots of the Assembler build is really going to help your allies in the endgame, whether that's a Master Vault-Glass raid or a Grandmaster Nightfall. Then this build will do the job to help keep them alive in those tough battles. But guys, you can't go into these hard activities without making your characters look good, so why not treat yourself to some cheap silver to buy some new Eververse cosmetics by visiting my sponsor over at AOA and use my code DIVIDE at checkout for a nice discount. You won't regret it, I promise. Now we'll be pairing this build with a Stasis Turret setup and good DPS weapons for both ad clearing and boss DPS to hold your own during those tough activities. So I'll give you the basic initial setup and then you can change a few things to suit your preference. Also, you can use this base build with any subclass of your choice, you don't have to use Stasis, and you don't have to use my loadout either. But we'll get to that very shortly, so guys, as always, rate, comment, subscribe and share, and now let's build. Firstly, as always, before we start, I want to quickly mention that this build series will conclude with 29 builds, and the 30th video in the playlist will be our usual top 3 of the season, planned for August 15th, so stay tuned for that because you really don't want to miss it. But if you've missed my previous builds, you can view the full playlist linked below. So I've already given you a basic overview of this build, so there's not really too much to add, but you will be using this build in Master and Grandmaster activities, and this is perfect for any team-based activity, even whilst underpowered, as it will support your allies and keep them alive. There are of course a few different variants to this build, meaning that you can use the build to enhance DPS, or just make you stronger in terms of staying alive and keeping your allies alive more often, regardless of how bad they may be. But to make things easier, I will just state a few options as we go along, so now let's do just that. As always, starting with the loadout, if you want to be the best with maximising your healing potential, throw in a Lumina exotic hand cannon. This will give you noble rounds that can heal your allies, but for your optimised endgame loadout in Season 14, a good scout rifle, grenade launcher, and anarchy will do the trick just fine. Now you can use any scout rifle and any grenade launcher in whichever slot you prefer, but Salvage's Salvo is a great option along with ignition code for a kinetic one, but you can use any loadout of your choice as this build is focused around the use of our class ability. But for the subclass, again you can use any subclass, but based on this build in the endgame, your two best options are a Solar Well of Radiance and a Warlock Stasis Shadebinder. For this build specifically, we're going to be using the Stasis subclass. Just make sure you have a healing rift on, as we will be looking to heal our allies and support them as much as possible. But if you and your team are a bunch of PvE gods, then you can go with an empowering rift instead. For the aspects, you want Bleak Watcher to convert your grenade into a Stasis turret, which will slow and freeze enemies, and this is perfect in all activities. But also go with Frost Pulse so that your rift will cause a shockwave that freezes nearby enemies when you cast it. And this can save you a lot when there's a bunch of tough Grandmaster adds nearby, as they should just freeze instantly, giving you time to heal and reload any weapons you need to. For the fragments, I went with Whisper of Torment to gain grenade energy when we take damage from targets, Whisper of Refraction, where defeating those slowed and frozen targets from our Stasis turret will give us class ability energy, perfect for our rift build. Then we have the next fragment where damaging targets with a melee reloads your stowed weapons, and when we are near frozen targets or friendly stasis crystals, we take reduced damage from targets as well as an extra 10 recovery, which is really what you want to get that class ability back as quick as possible. Moving on to our exotic armour, we will be using the Boots of the Assembler. We'll get to this shortly, but for the helmet mods we have taken Charge to become Charge of Light, as it's one of the easiest mods to become Charge of Light in harder content. But with this, slot on your heavy weapons ammo finder mod. For me, that is a grenade launcher ammo finder. Now for the gauntlets, we have Blast Radius, a new cheap seasonal Charge of Light mod that lets you become Charge of Light on rapid grenade launcher kills. Just another source to become Charge of Light. This is pretty good in lower tier Nightfalls and stuff, but still fairly good to use in Master Nightfalls. With Blast Radius though, slot on your champion mods because you will need them if going into those activities. For the chest, we have Protective Light, our first main Charge of Light mod, where we gain significant damage resistance when our shields are destroyed, consuming all stacks. Definitely a great choice to save yourself when you are low, because if you want to support your allies, you will need to be alive yourself to do that. But next though, slot on your heavy weapons ammo reserve mods. Again, that being a grenade launcher if you are using anarchy. But for the legs, we are of course using a new Boots of Assembler exotic legs, and you can farm these in Legend and Master Lost sectors when the boots are on a daily rotation. Now these boots will allow you to create noble seekers that seek out allies that are not in a rift and heal them when standing in your own rift. And it instead gives a damage boost if you are using an empowering rift, so just adjust the rift to suit your preference. But for me, I'll be using a healing rift with these boots to heal our allies, as I did play a Grandmaster Nightfall with random people on LFG and no communication. so you want to expect the worst and do what you can to keep them alive. This exotic is only useful when you are playing with a team though, so don't use this if you are playing solo. Now for the mods with this, we have firstly Kindling the Flame, another Charger Light mod, and I know we're using 2, which is fine, because this one only uses our Charger Light stacks when we revive allies, which will give us a burst of healing. This is great because in those harder activities, when you are reviving allies, you don't want to be that guy that dies whilst trying to revive someone, because a lot of the time, especially if tough adds are around, you may just end up getting yourself killed when trying to revive an ally, and with this mod on, it may just save you. Next though, just slot on your ammo scavenger mod for your heavy weapon. Lastly for the class, we are going with shield break charge, which is optional. You don't have to use this, but it's just another great source to become Charger Light in those tougher activities when you have the match game modifier active, and a breach and clear mod to weaken enemies with our grenade launcher, which also stacks with a well of radiance if you do end up using that. Perfect for maximizing boss DPS. If you don't use Anarchy or any grenade launcher, a good alternative option is to go full support with Divinity, or use rocket launchers with 3 Argent Ordnance mods, as that is a pretty OP setup for boss damage too. Now the stats you want are max recovery to get the class back as quick as possible, but if you're using Stasis, maxing out Discipline to 100 is also a perfect choice, as you can use those Stasis abilities to get your class back quicker too. So this build is great for all types of team-based game modes, especially Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls. I would strongly recommend though that you do adjust this build to suit your playstyle, so if you don't like using Stasis or grenade launchers, simply just don't use them, because you want to use a build that works for you and not for someone else. But this is the base design setup that you should start with. It really doesn't matter what you use, as long as you are using a Boots of Assembler exotic legs and a fairly high recovery stat, then you should be good to go. But guys, that is all for this Warlock build. Next, you should go check out the playlist as always for more awesome top builds in Destiny 2. For now, as usual, give this new Warlock build a try, let me know what you think, leave a rating, comment your setup for this build below and what you prefer, subscribe and share for more because I have plenty more to come in the new seasons to come, and I'll see you all shortly for the next one.